Hello class and welcome to the Photoshop lesson on layers. There are so many things you can do with layers. I don't think I'm going to even get to half of what I want to in this 15-minute presentation, but I'm going to try to show you some things to give you ideas. First of all, I want to reiterate there's nothing that replaces just an as-shot image. This is done by a student, an eagle catching the fish. That's not Photoshop. That's the way he caught it. Very dedicated photographer. Also, something like this is not something that's been worked up in Photoshop. That's an as-shot photo as well. Another thing we tend to do is we tend to think of Photoshop as the only way to make something. This is called The Two Ways by Oscar Raylander. It's done in 1857 with over 20 images, but this is analog, no digital back in the 1850s. And this particular one's done by Jerry Uelsmann. Again, just film, no digital. And this one is done by Misha Gordon, who also only does analog photography. We tend to look at his stuff and go, gosh, he really mastered Photoshop, didn't he? He doesn't like to use Photoshop. He does his stuff in the darkroom. Very talented photographer. When we look back, please remember we looked at this picture where I used layers to combine the inside and outside, just like shown in this picture. Dark for the outside exposure, bright for the inside, and combine them together. And sometimes you'll use a base photo like this that I used for that. You can kind of see it in the background, but that's done through layers as well. This is a picture I used in the opening screen. That's the as shot picture. And this is one of the examples of a picture I made from that as shot picture using layers. We can examine how many layers are used over here in the layers palette. For example, I can turn some off and turn some on. I'm going to show you how to do some things in layers in a moment. A couple more things to do. Sometimes you use layers because you only want to edit part of the image. I wanted to make these front Buddha hand fruits white, which I did without affecting the rest of the picture. Now I did put a different background in, but the lower part you can see it's the same. The back piece of fruit is the same, but I made the front pieces white, and layers enabled me to do that. And not always something you do just for a serious nature. This is kind of a fun thing I did with the daughter and the dog, using several layers to put that together. Let's look at some simple things we can do with layers now. I'm going to take part of this picture using the clone stamp and put it on another part. First thing I'm going to do in the layers panel over here is I'm going to click on the create a new layer button at the bottom. When I do that, there's a blank layer above the background. I can turn the background off. You can see that top layer is blank. I'm going to click on the background layer and select it because I want to use it to do what I'm going to do. Now I've selected the clone stamp tool here, and I'm going to make the size about the size of my eye in the picture. I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and that makes crosshairs, and click, and that selects the part of the image I want to copy. I'm going to now click on the layer one above, and I'll just bring that over and do it like that. Now, why do it like that? Why put it on a separate layer? Well, I can take and move that around anywhere I want to on a separate layer. But there's other things I can do as well. I'm going to zoom in on the picture now. And I'm going to use something else. I'm going to use the eraser tool. And I'm going to use it, make it a little bigger, to erase some things I didn't want to copy over with that. Maybe didn't want it so dark around those edges. And I can do that because I use layers. Just like that. Double click the hand tool and we'll go back. And isn't that guy cuter now than he was before? Oops. Back that off. In this particular picture next, I have a couple of guys in the picture. They're the same guy. And I did that by using layers. If I turn off the background layer, you can see there's a hole in the top layer that I've erased through, just like I erased around the eye. When I turn the background layer, I did that. Now those two shots were taken with a tripod, same day, same time, same exposure. All I had to do was create a layer, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. Here's another one I did with yours truly and putting several of me and my dog in one picture. I've got 4 pictures I've done for that, and I'm going to show you how to make the layers. First, I'm going to take this second picture I shot. This is again done with a tripod and done in the same time of day, same light. I'm going to select the move tool on this. I'm going to hold down the Alt and Shift key and drag it over, let go, and it centers that and copies it right on top of the other. Do the same with the next picture. Centers it, and the same with the last picture. Pressing the Alt and Shift key, you can see that I've got a double arrow there now. Bring it over and drop it down like that. Now I've got all 4 of those pictures on separate layers. What I want to do is click the last layer while holding down the Shift key. I've selected all, and I'm going to go to Edit, I think it's in Edit, Auto Align Layers. And I'm going to leave it on auto like that. Even with the tripod, it might be that some of those layers weren't quite aligned. That means that everything that it didn't move, the cabinet, the picture on the wall, the TV, the sofas, all of that's going to be perfectly aligned. So what I want to do now is I want to erase part of that top layer so I can see me in the next layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the opacity on that top layer. And as I do that, you can see me popping through. I'll take the eraser tool. You don't have to be too close. I don't want to, of course, erase the puppy off of the top layer. But I want this at 100%, and I'll just go and erase that layer like that. I will take the top layer and redo the opacity now, and there you go. That's one part of that I've finished, and that's it for layers. If you have questions, let me know. Looks like we're at the end of our day on this anyway. That's something you all can do.